Kimmerha Huladunia, Feuchamaich Olde Scot the Celtic podcast. On today's show in Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig, we will introduce you to some words for summer. We will talk about why the Romans didn't conquer Scotland or Ireland in our Celtic history segment. You will hear a story about the Scottish accent in everyday Celtic ways, and throughout the program we'll hear music from Celtic women, the Blarney Brothers, Mary Falcone and Sarah Jones, Brigham Phillips, and Joy Dunlop. As always, it's a wee bit of Irish trivia to test your knowledge to start us off. So on putting his name to the Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921, who said, "I have signed my own death warrant"? Alright, Feuchamaich, let's get started. Enjoy.
Feuchamaich
That was Is Dúr a Hannig Me Folk, Dearly I Paid for My Kiss by Joy Dunlop. And now, on Tom and Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig, it's time for Let's Try a Little Gaelic. I do not represent myself as an authority on the Gaelic language, only someone who loves learning it and wants to help others. What I teach comes right from the textbooks of well-respected Gaelic teachers. I hope you will find it interesting, informative, and fun. Today we will discuss some words for summer. And as always, I will display on the screen what I am discussing. All right, let's get started. All right. Hopefully, Scotland will have a good summer this summer. But the actual word summer, the summer, is in Saurig. Then just summer is Saurig. Then in summer is Es Taurig. Okay, now if summer brings good weather, you'll have plenty of sun, which is Grian, and there will be warmth, which will be Blas. And many of us take time off during the year at this time, take our holidays or vacations, and that is Lian Sura or Sur Lian. We take an excursion or a journey. It's Kursht, and going abroad. Adol, Anol, Harish. Some summer clothes you might wear. Shorts, Brickish, Hurich. Swimsuit is Jisha Knife. Sandals is Kurin. And then, of course, sunglasses, which would be Spiaklin Grania. All right, some summer activities would be Skrib, that's a short walk or stroll. Going to the beach, which is Try. A picnic, which is Kuram Hunik, or sunbathing, which is Agal Nagrin. Camping is a compig. And eating ice cream, which is Akisha Rochek. All right. Now, this summer, there's a really good chance you're going to encounter one of these three things. It's definitely the first one, especially in Scotland, as Minif Hulik, which is the midges, the little flies that just swarm everywhere, or bees, which is Sheelan, or wasps, which are Spiak. All right. Got some sentences here for you to translate into English. Number 1, Ambiu Show and Ath Harig. 2, Hamiadol Yan Try. 3, Hamiadol Anol Harish Lion Sura. 4, Vashin Akampakig Ach Hashin Ach Isha Rochek Anish. 5, Katolium Na Minaf Hulik. And 6 is Tolam Agol Nagrinia. Alright. Knock that out for me, or as practice, however you want to do it. And that's it for Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig. Enjoy the songs.
Get a megan
That was Baba Ma Leonov by Brigham Phillips. It's a lullaby. Today on Celtic History Break, the topic is, why didn't the Romans conquer Scotland or Ireland? Now there is a joke that a regiment of Roman soldiers were advancing north of Hadrian's Wall. They see a Pictish warrior up ahead who's taunting them. The Roman commander sends a regiment of his men over the wall to engage this Pictish warrior who has run over a hill. Soon the commander can hear the sound of the fierce fighting, swords clashing, and people dying. And it only dies down when one of his centurions, bloodied, beaten, stumbles back demanding more men. The Roman commander sends another regiment of his men over the wall to engage this Pictish warrior who has run over a hill. Soon the commander can hear more sounds of fierce fighting, and it only dies down when one of his centurions, again bloodied and beaten, stumbles back demanding more men. More men, he says in astonishment. Can't 2 regiments of brave Roman soldiers kill one Pictish warrior? I'm sorry, sir, we were wrong. There was 2 of them. And that's the joke. But there's a myth that permeates through Scottish folklore that the Romans were unable to conquer Scotland, so they built a wall, Hadrian's Wall, to block off the wild, primitive Scotland from the civilized Romans in England. And this couldn't be further from the truth. First, neither England or Scotland existed at the time. The reason Rome never conquered Scotland, or more accurately, the Scottish Highlands, is because Scotland simply wasn't worth the trouble. Scotland had no natural resources, very little fertile land, had no large population from which to draw troops, and afforded no strategic advantage. One thing the North did have plenty of were Pictish people who would raid the settlements there. A wall with a fortification of men was built to protect what the Romans had already conquered. Now, the Antonine Wall was the first one built, and it was little more than a large berm of rock and soil. But it was enough to cut off the Roman Britain from the north. Since a stone wall would probably take a good amount of time to build, the first barrier was established to allow Rome to build a proper barrier. So then there is the question of Ireland, or Hibernia, as the Romans would have called it. Well, that question can be summed up by a quote by Gnaeus Julius Agricola, a Roman leader of the time in Britain, who lived from 13 of June AD 40 to the 23rd of August AD 93. And he was the Roman governor of Britain, responsible for securing the Roman grip on what is now England and Wales, and for conquering much of Lower Scotland. He said when asked about Ireland, "If I wanted to conquer Hibernia, I would." This may have been the attitude of the Romans at the time, but remember, they had a lot of people to feed, clothe, and care for. The Irish at the time were a seafaring people and had vast resources on their island. So more than likely they had a mutual beneficial relationship based on trade. Basically, they needed each other. So, why conquer them if you can use them? Alright, that's it for the Celtic History Break.
Gentlemen, it is my duty to inform you of one beauty, though I'd ask of you a favor, not to seek her for a while. Though I own she is a creature of character and feature, no words can paint the picture of the Queen of all Argyle. And if you could have seen her there, boys, if you had just been there, the swan was in her movement and the morning in her smile. All the roses in the garden would bow and ask a pardon for not one good mass of beauty of the Queen of all Argyle. On the evening that I mentioned, I passed with light intention through a part of our dear country known for beauty and for style, being a place of noble thinkers, of scholars and great drinkers, but above them all for splendor shone the Queen of all Argyle. And if you could have seen her there, boys, if you had just been there, the swan was in her movement and and the morning in her smile. All the roses in the garden would bow and ask her pardon, for not one could match the beauty of the Queen of all Argyll. Now, my lad, by need must leave you, my intention not to grieve you, nor indeed would I deceive you. I'll see you in a while, for I must find some way to gain her, to court her and retain her. I fear my heart's in danger from the Queen of all Argyll. And if you could have seen her there, boys, if you had just been there, the swan was in her movement and the morning in her smile. All the roses in the garden would bow and ask a pardon, for not one could match the beauty of the Queen of all Argyll. And if you could have seen her there, boys, if you had just been there, the swan was in her movement and the morning in her smile. All the roses in the garden would bow and ask a pardon, for not one could match the beauty of the Queen of all Argyll.
That was Queen of Argyll by the Blarney Brothers. Now it's time for Everyday Celtic Ways. Today we're going to talk about a story about the Scottish accent. Now, I wish I could do a convincing or even not so convincing Scottish accent, but alas, I can't. I have a hard time getting my mouth and brain to work in conjunction, which is probably why I have such a hard time with my Gaelic pronunciation. Of all the accents out there, and this is the one I struggle with, there are people who get paid good money just to do accents, and of course, there are people that do it just to fool us. One of those that get paid to do accents is an actor named James Doohan of Star Trek fame. You know, Scotty. What? You think his Scottish accent is horrible? Well, most people do. But you need to know the story behind his choice of that particular accent. You see, James Doohan is an Irish actor, really, who lives in Canada. His expertise is actually doing accents. And before Star Trek, he made a career of doing voiceovers and parts with various accents. When he was chosen for Star Trek, they had not decided yet that the Enterprise's engineer would be a Scotsman. But Gene Roddenberry knew of Doohan's accent work and sat him down. He wanted a diverse crew aboard the Enterprise. Now, Roddenberry went through a dozen or more accents, except Scottish for some reason, until Doohan, being unable to make a decision, he asked the actor himself which he thought would be the best. Doohan spoke right up and said that if he was to be an engineer, he would need to be a Scot, that the Scottish were known to be engineers, builders, inventors, so he broke out in an authentic Scottish accent for Roddenberry, and the Star Trek creator just sat there baffled. Doohan was worried after a minute or two of silence that he'd kind of screwed up, and then he quietly asked in his own voice, "Was that all right?" Gene Roddenberry looked at him and replied, "I didn't understand a word you said." Doohan knew he had nailed the accent, but Roddenberry was right. A thick Scottish accent is at times hard to understand, especially with the everyday slang that is thrown in. Finally, Roddenberry tells Doohan to water it down the accent and not to use so many slang words. At first, Doohan refused, being a purist with his accents, but then Roddenberry explained that the show is going to play to an American audience who either won't have ever heard a real Scottish accent or won't understand it even if they do. Roddenberry agreed that the engineer needed to be Scottish, so he forced Doohan to water down the accent so that Americans could understand what Scotty would be saying, since he would be an integral part of the show. So you see, giving James Doohan grief because of his Scottish accent is kind of misdirected. The invention of a Scottish engineer who has a horrible, very brigadoonish Scottish accent is all Gene Roddenberry's fault. But don't hate on him too much. He did create the Star Trek universe that we all love so much, and the character Scotty has become beloved to all, except those accent purists, of course. There is a great interview on British TV from 1989 where James Doohan tells part of this story. I will put the link at the bottom so you can see it for yourselves. But yeah, that's it for today's Everyday Celtic Ways. Enjoy.
When the light begins to fade and shadows fall across the sea, one bright star in the evening sky, your love's light leads me on my way. There's a dream that will not sleep, a burning hope that will not die. So I must go now with the wind and leave you waiting on the tide. Time to fly, time to touch the sky. One voice alone, a haunting cry. One song, one star burning bright. Let it carry me through darkest night. Rain comes over the gray hills, and on the air a soft goodbye. Hear the song that I sing to you when the time has come to fly. When I leave and take the wing and find the land that faith will bring, the brightest star in the evening sky is your love waiting far from me. Is your love waiting far for me?
And that was The Soft Goodbye by Celtic Women. Well, that's it for today's show. Hope you liked it. I'm trying to keep it interesting, informative, and fun, while showing you the beauty of all things Celtic. I would like to thank everyone for all the support and kind words, likes, and new subscribers. Tapalev Herchen. Thank you, friends. Now, before I go, the trivia question answer. When Michael Collins put his name to the Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921, he famously said, "I have signed my own death warrant." He knew that a partition of the north of Ireland would lead to civil war. He was weary of fighting the British and reluctant to fight his own people, the Irish. Eventually, he was assassinated in his own County Cork. Alright, remember to check out my YouTube channel, Olde Scot, and to learn Gaelic's song videos and the Celtic podcast videos. And we have all the Speaking Our Language videos and the Macher and plenty more. So that's it. Marsh and leave in Drozda. Bye for now. But I'm going to let you go with a song. Invading Vara, the Mermaid, by Mary Falcone and Sarah Jones.
Agus be